Hello, everyone. What you're about to watch is a long-form, candid discussion with a friend of mine, JamesQuest, who is a fellow content creator. You may have seen him around on Twitter, so I hope you enjoy. All of his socials and channels, because he is also a content creator, will be linked in the description. If you want to check him out, please do. He does good stuff. And note, this video does not have any Destiny footage because, again, I haven't been playing, so I just have some long-form Tactics Ogre B-roll going in the background from one of my previous streams. If you enjoy that type of footage and you want to watch, by all means, but if you just want to have us on in the background, that is fine as well. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoy, and if you have any thoughts about anything that we discuss in the video, please do drop it in the comments. Thank you so much and enjoy. Whoa, 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 what is this but a rare collaboration here on the channel between myself and my good friend JamesQuest, otherwise known as Quest, usually to myself. Thank you for joining us here this fine day, sir, to discuss the events at Bungie that are really not a good time for everyone involved. Even if it's given us lots to talk about, it's not a good look, especially for one of our favorite games. So thank you for joining me.
Not a problem. Yeah, it's yeah. As I was like sort of talking about with my other friends who like play Destiny, we've like obviously been talking about it a lot because so much going on in Destiny at the moment. So definitely Bungie is top of conversation between my Destiny player friends, and we all just think the situation is like very frustrating because like. It's very annoying to see people who like genuinely love working on this game be told out of the blue that they're no longer able to work on it, and it's like, well, what can I do as a player other than like stop spending money on the game? Like that's like the only thing you can do. Like there's all the conversations online about are you boycotting it? Are you refunding your pre-order? That's
Oh
good job.
yeah.
We're
Oh yeah.
already. I haven't. I usually wait till the DLCs come out, then I buy them because I just can't be bothered with pre-ordering personally.
Exactly.
Which is why I'm
Exactly.
like glad I haven't spent the 60, 70 quid on like pre-ordering it because I'd have to have the ordeal with
Yeah,
sorting that out. Because
contacting whoever and refunding
yeah,
and like
I've heard arguments being like, well, yeah, but you've got to think about like the people who are still at the company, who are still
oh
working
yeah,
there,
that whole
and
thing.
supporting them.
Oh yeah.
It's like I get what you're saying, but at the same time,
The players aren't the
with
people who put them in this situation. Like, it's
exactly,
just
yeah.
failures of management. We can't hold ourselves like morally or fiscally responsible for the poor decisions of Pete Parsons or whoever else. Like,
No, exactly. Because like it wasn't like one of his like things he said is, or not like him specifically, but out of Bungie in general was like apparently like 45% below projected earnings of where they're supposed to be, and it's like it kind of came across as like almost like passing the blame to players. And it's like, hang on a second,
yeah,
like
who made
if
the decisions that led to this? Not your
I know.
developers, not us. That's leadership.
Yeah, especially with other reports saying, I think like from IGN saying that like apparently workers were like begging upper management to change how they work or change how they do things because they knew that player morale was low about the game. They're like, we need to do something different, we need to change. And instead of like listening to them, they went, don't over deliver and it should be fine.
Creating patterns.
Not fine. It's not fine.
Exactly. For those who don't know what it is that we're talking about, if you've been living under a rock, you're not involved in gaming in general, because this is expended like well beyond just the
Oh yeah,
standard Destiny
it's a
sphere
wider
at this point.
conversation, definitely.
That's this is quickly becoming a like this is just how the industry is and it's a problem kind of conversation. But what
Mm.
happened was a few days ago, breaking on November the 30th, two things happened simultaneously. First of all,
October 30th.
oh yeah, October 30th, not November 30th. We're in November
Just
now.
before Halloween,
Though
yeah.
those month transitions really mess up the brain. But yeah, so
Yeah.
October 30th, just before Halloween, it began to break in two different ways. First of all, Jason Schreier of Bloomberg, who, like the guy or not, is generally considered to be a reputable source in terms of games news, has a lot of sources on the inside, broke the story that apparently the final shape, the final installment of the first arc, the 10-year journey of Destiny, that's supposed to wrap everything up, be very nice, very well done, was actually being delayed, pushed back from February 2024 to, I believe, June 2024. Correct me if I've got any of this wrong.
Yeah,
Kind
no,
of
no, that's all good so far.
going off memory here.
Yeah,
So that was going to be happening, which is not unheard of. Games industry, games get pushed back all the time, projects get
yeah,
pushed back all the time. Destiny's had delayed expansions, all that type of stuff. Typically, it's the delayed ones that wind up actually coming out better rather than worse. But
yeah, yeah. I don't think too many people are annoyed about that because I'd rather be delayed and be, a proper finished product than
absolutely.
rushing to a deadline.
Absolutely. Deadlines are completely arbitrary. Make the product as good as you can make it. That's the idea. What was happening simultaneously, though, that had everyone very worked up very quickly, is it began to break via social media, primarily Twitter, that there was suddenly a lot of Bungie employees who were tweeting about the fact that they were no longer Bungie employees and had all been laid off that morning extremely unexpectedly and unceremoniously. And it
Mhm.
just kept getting worse and more. And I mean, now we've got such notable figures as some of the lead composers of Destiny and even
Yeah.
Halo, the woman who designed the Halo logo. I'll pull the names
Oh,
up. I'll have
yeah.
them on screen. My memory's failing me at the
Yeah.
moment.
Well, it was I know the two composers. It was Michael Salvatore and I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
butcher the other guy's name, but I think it's pronounced Michael Sechrist.
Yes, that's it.
Sechrest,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Who
yes.
famously did Deep Stone Lullaby, which is obviously that was trending on Twitter for like a good day because
Mm-hmm.
like when people find out that they were like, you know. Obviously, all the people who help make the music at Bungie are important, but like these two people are like probably the most senior composers out of them, especially Salvatore, who's been, there since pretty much the start of Bungie, and as you said, has done like a lot of the stuff for Destiny and back in the Halo days, did all
Yeah.
the music for that as well. Like, he is, he's been through thick and thin with Bungie over the years, and just to be like laid off on a random, October morning is
Mm-hmm.
really bizarre. Like it just there's something off about that. It just doesn't. It's weird, especially now that what's called the CEO, like apparently, according to some reports, said that quotes they kept the right people as to like work on Destiny in future. It's like, sorry, how can you say that when you when you've got rid of people like Salvatore and Secrest who have
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel like the music, especially in Destiny, has been like one of the most consistently good things over the
Oh
years.
yeah.
Like Destiny's game is very volatile and obviously how it like goes. Like some seasons are really good, some are really bad, some expansions are good, some are not so good. But like the music is always phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
And to say you've kept the right people while getting rid of Sartorius to Christ is wild. Just wild.
It's truly insane. It's like you think about, like you were saying, the expansions come and go and are good or not good, but the music is always consistent. But one of the
Mm.
expansions that people tend to be down on the most, other than like Lightfall, which also had good music, is Shadowkeep. And yet the
Oh yeah.
main themes of Shadowkeep were such bangers, like just
Hmm.
consistently so strong that they have come back again and again and again ever since they first were brought into Destiny in different leitmotifs, different remixes, strung throughout other tracks. Like they're just that strong, and it's indicative of how powerful Salvatore and his entire team at Bungie have been. Like you said, going back as far as Halo, the Halo's music is still some of the most, for those who were there for it, especially when it came out, like emotionally impactful music in gaming to this day. And
Yeah.
you just
It's
can
so
that, man.
iconic.
Like what? But I have a reason for that people have been discussing now. I don't know if you've heard about this a little bit. But it has recently come out that all of the music for Final Shape is recorded.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I did
So,
see that. And in some ways, I don't know, like even with that I'm like still a bit like the man's been around that company for so long. Like you feel like you give him a better send off. Like
oh yeah.
if it did come to like obviously the unfortunate decision, like sorry, we're trying to make some job cuts, and it looks like you're gonna have to go. Like at least like make something of it, because like the amount he's contributed to just like game music in general,
Yeah.
like deserves a lot more than just like, you're not working here anymore.
Yeah,
See
and
ya.
not even like an official announcement, but just you find out because the
No.
man changes his website to say "gone fishing" and deletes
Yeah, I know. That's
all of his
it's bittersweet. Like it's funny, but it's also
repertoire.
like, man,
Oh,
that sucks.
it's so brutal. Like,
Mm.
I mean, there's a lot that I want to talk about with this, absolutely. But just that kind of sums up the overall idea behind it all, right? Like, there's no respect, there's no regard.
No,
It's just
it's
anyone who
it doesn't
isn't the
matter.
C-suite is
Yeah,
getting, or actually potentially getting canned, and that's insane.
yeah. Like as I've heard, like people saying like it seems that it doesn't matter if you're in there for like decades or like a couple years. Like your
Mm-hmm.
job was not safe, like any single way, which is, it just goes back to the whole thing. Like obviously with the wider conversation that just like corporations and corporate people are not your friends.
Uh-huh.
They do not care about you at all.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's a lesson that everyone absolutely needs to learn sooner rather than later. But to have to learn it like this in a situation where you've got a fairly well-regarded dev company in Bungie that all corporations do this to some facet, but Bungie seems to have done it to a much greater degree prior to this, set itself up as a place where you can be yourself and be who you want to be and work on the things that you want to work on and be passionate and creative and have a team of people like you who want to do the same thing and put greatness out into the world. And then as soon as it comes down to brass tacks, the axe swings and it's just merciless. Absolutely no thought given to anything. And it's just like, man, it makes it so much more of a kick in the teeth to me. Well, and what you were talking about earlier, and I might wind up like cutting some things around in the video to have a logical
Oh
flow of
yeah,
the
yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
But
yeah. No,
so if I
don't
say
worry.
earlier to you, audience, and this was not earlier in the video, my apologies. But what Quest was saying earlier about the feeling that players have of
Mm,
do we support, do we not support, do we cancel our pre-orders, do we not cancel our pre-orders, do we continue to buy silver and microtransactions to support the studio to help the people that are still there. And to me, while I understand the sentiment and I don't mean to offend anyone here, it's just my personal feeling on it, but that's asinine. Just because it's the people at the top, it's the C-suite. We didn't do this, the players did not do this, the developers did
mm,
not do this. Hell, like people at the very top of like the actual team of Destiny, not specifically Bungie, because obviously there's more than one team at Bungie now and everything, but
yeah.
they didn't do this. It's all people like Pete Parsons and the board of directors and the
Mm,
shareholders. They're the ones responsible here. We shouldn't hold ourselves responsible to fixing it. They're the ones who have to fix it. And it sucks that the developers have to put up with that, but that's just because the responsibility falls on the people that are leading their teams and they've failed them. So it's like, it just goes to show the kind of parasocial relationship that the Destiny player base has with the game and with Bungie, that conversation is even taking place to me, because people
yeah.
they want so sincerely for the game to succeed and for the devs to be healthy and comfortable and able to do their jobs and live their lives because of that environment that Bungie set up, and now it's all coming back around on them. It's insane.
Yeah, at least really, like personally, like it should be not be down to me as a player to pay a Bungie employee's
Yes.
like pay slip.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally what it is. It's like it should not be up to me to like give them the pay they deserve. That's literally what management is there for. They're the ones
Exactly.
who sort that out. I am a consumer of the product, and if I want to support it, I can. That doesn't mean I should think. It's not like you go to like the supermarket and go, "Oh, I better pick up some extra bananas today because these workers here need a bit more pay." Like it's the same sort of thing. Like I'm not gonna go, "Oh, I better spend a bit more silver because some poor Bungie dev's not gonna get his pay." Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not my concern. Like, that shouldn't be my concern. Like I shouldn't feel bad for not, supporting the game if I don't feel like I should support the game in its current situation, just because I might feel a bit guilty about not giving some random dev their money when that's
Mm-hmm.
not my job.
Exactly. And like it's so indicative of how big of a problem this has become that is even like a discussion that needs to be had, right? Because if the company was running properly, this discussion wouldn't even be in people's heads because employees would be getting paid, no one would be getting laid off, and even if the game was like struggling because of dev constraints, time constraints, whatever, the people making it would and should still be secure. So the fact that we're here shows how astronomically, catastrophically those devs have been failed by their management teams. It's like you said, ugh.
Yeah, it's literally that feeling, just like, oh, like, it's just utter frustration
Yeah,
entirely.
yeah, absolutely. So something I want to talk about here is there's actually kind of a dichotomy in our play experiences recently because you, as far as I know, have continued to play the game up to this point, correct?
Yes, yes. So I know obviously you was fair enough. Didn't like the increase in price of the seasons. Thought, why should I be punished because I didn't buy this? What's it called, year season pass. I don't want to pay anymore. I was like, I get that, but I'm still enjoying the game. I still want to get involved with the content. So I want to continue with it. And in all fairness, I feel like obviously because a while ago, like I think last year probably around this time, they said, look, we hear you about the seasonal model, we realize that it's getting a bit stale and you guys aren't liking it so much, we're going to try changing things up. And I think they have, like, at least from my experience, the last two seasons. So what, we got Season of the Witch now and
And
Season
then
of the Deep
deep,
last
yeah.
season. Yeah, these are to me they've been very two solid seasons. Like, I've quite enjoyed them. Obviously, towards the end, like we are now, like I'm not playing as much. Like even before, like everything that happened this week, I've not really been playing much of Festival of the Lost just because I'm like, it's a bit fun. Like maybe I'll play
Yeah,
a little bit. Like we get into the end of the season drought, as I like
right.
to call it, where like there's not much going on, but Destiny stop playing. But like obviously near the start of both the seasons. I was very much enjoying them. The story's actually been pretty good, unlike some other seasons, and like over overall, the content's been fun. Like, yeah, it can get a bit repetitive, but like that's to be expected with seasonal content at this
Sure,
point. And
yeah.
Bungie have addressed, like they said, we know it's repetitive. We're trying to make it not so repetitive, and I think they have because I did
Yeah,
like doing stuff like last season, Season of the Deep. What was it? The deep dive missions. Those
yeah.
were very fun because they were. The thing is, they were actually challenging in a fun way. I feel like because it was good ad density, they had good health. I think the lowest level was a bit hard, especially if you're going in with randoms, and it only became more of a problem when you had people going in with different intentions if you were going in randomly, because especially with the exotic quest,
Right,
that
the
was a bit of
exotic
a mess.
quest, yeah.
Because some people just didn't wanted to do normal deep dives, and people wanted to do the exotic mission. It's like, and then this season, I think this season was almost like a bit of an improvement with last season. Like I
I've
feel
heard a
like,
lot of very good
yeah,
things about Season of the Witch, yeah.
the season of the Witch has been very, very good. I think it's very strong there. It's not like top tier, but it's solid. It's a good season. Like we've had a good story. The activities are pretty fun. Especially with like what's it, the summoning altars, whatever they're called. The activity you go in, like you could. I don't spend too much time in there. It's probably because I've got Gen Z ADHD riddled brain that needs constant change. But if you wanted to, you could spend hours in there, like just like going around killing things, keep doing the summoning until you run out of offerings or
Right,
whatever.
right.
I know people. I don't know. Obviously I personally haven't done that, but I know people who have, and they've said like they don't even realize how much time has passed. They've like spent so much time in that area, which just shows that like people are clearly enjoying it. And even the Southern Spire, which I probably played a bit more of, just because I like, it's like a bit like a strike. You
Right,
go
right.
in, you kill some things, and you go on, and it's got obviously a bit more interesting mechanics than your average strike, and it's a lot of fun. So I feel like Bungie have definitely been going in the right direction with the seasonal model. At least like for me personally, because I would class myself as like a semi-casual player. Like I'm like you got like your casual and you're like super hardcore. I like
Right.
sit somewhere in the middle. Like I can do like end game content, but I'm also constantly running out of like alloys and ascendant shards.
Right,
I'm like
yeah,
that
yeah.
sort of player.
Just enough to have the resources, but never enough to have an abundance of them, that type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, at least, from that sort of player, my perspective, I've found last two seasons very fun. Bungie have clearly been taking the feedback that players have been giving and applying it back into the game.
Right.
And up until this week, I was very optimistic about the game's future. I was like, we're going in a good direction. I'm feeling good about last two seasons. I really think, because usually the season before an expansion is like really good as well,
Right.
because it's like the lead up to it.
Well,
Because
that
Season of the
was.
Seraph
I was
probably
just about
wasn't
to
the
say Season of the Seraph.
strongest, but it had a good story, I
Yeah,
think.
the
At
story I
least. I
thought
don't.
was very strong. The gameplay loops were quite enjoyable. That was probably, yeah, that was the last season that I played other than Season of Defiance that came with Lightfall, which
Yeah,
was,
and
as we know, kind
yes.
of a wet fart.
I was gonna say it released with Lightfall, so it was. I think it was doomed to begin
Yeah, it
with.
was doomed
Really.
from the start, and it was already not a great offering to begin with. But Season of the
No,
Seraph was, I thought, very, very strong. It was one of the better seasons
it
that I
was
had
a
played.
good season. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then that's for those who don't know. I stopped playing during Lightfall and Season of Defiance. I basically finished out the seasonal story of Defiance. I played the campaign of Lightfall, chugged along for a little bit, did some post game stuff, and then just kind of fell off due to frustration, lack of interest, anger with Bungie's handling of things. And I haven't touched the game since. I have not logged in since prior to the start of Season of the Deep, and then now Season of the Witch. And what's frustrating for me, you're talking about like up until this week, you were feeling very optimistic as you've been playing the game. I've been feeling very optimistic, even though I haven't been playing the game, because I've been hearing everything that you and others have been saying about how strong these seasonal offerings have been. And it seemed like it was a big step up, even from where we had been with Lightfall not even a full year ago. And then October the 30th rolls along, and Bungie
Mm,
points an entire flechette cannon at their feet and blows them off. And
yeah.
it's like, where does it go from here? I was legitimately, there's been multiple times, if I haven't been so busy between working and then like maintaining my YouTube channel, streaming, and then trying to play the absolute dearth of incredible games that have come out this year, which is another thing I wanted to talk about that's been part of the
Oh yeah.
discussion. I've not had the chance, even though multiple times I thought, you know what, maybe now's the time that I go in and I pick up Season of the Witch, or you know what, Season of the Witch and Season of the Deep both seemed pretty good. Hopefully the next season will be good. Maybe I'll cave and I'll get the pass so that I'm not paying extra for each season and just play the offerings that are there, because I intended to play Final Shape regardless, to see it through, like so many people have been saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, if I hadn't been so busy, whatever, maybe I would have. And then this happens. And it's like, well, there goes all that motivation right out the window.
Yep. hmm
So since you have been playing, I haven't been playing, we have kind of both sides of that perspective, even though I've been keeping up to date with things. What do you feel going forward? Where do you think this is going to go? And do you think that this is something that's going to be able to be recovered? Because remember, the reason that Final Shape was pushed back 4 months from February to June was because internal reviews were saying that it was good, not great. And that is not
Yeah.
surprising to me based off of what we've seen thus far, because I was thoroughly, as other content creators have said, whelmed by what we've seen thus far.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah. Well,
for the big climactic thing, you should not be whelmed. It should blow my socks off, take me to
I
dinner and
know.
a date afterwards. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, it was like when they did like their big live stream a little while ago, there was some stuff that was like quite exciting. So it was like, okay, cool,
two
I
new
guess.
mobs! One's blue and one is
Whoa.
green. Whoa!
Like, I feel like the idea of where it's set, like the Pale Hearts, like you can clearly see like the environment team have like gone to town on that.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like they've done a good that's a good job on their part with like I know people will argue about like oh they've reused assets and oh whatever, but like I think from the little snippets we've seen, you can see that clearly they've obviously yes used some assets from the past,
Yeah, like the
but
old
they've
tower and whatever.
yeah, but have expanded beyond that and created something quite magical. I want to say,
Yeah.
that's the word that comes to mind. But then a lot of the like when they got to the more of like the gameplay stuff, it was kind of like it's not, it's like it's all right, it's cool, but I'm not like amazed by it. It's like, oh, I get void axes now. I'm still gonna
Mm-hmm.
be using arc, but
Yep.
void axes are cool, I guess. And
Yep.
then what do you call it? The warlock one, I'm pretty sure is just like a first person version of the one from D1.
Yep. Yep. Without being able to self-res.
Yeah, this and that.
Mm-hmm. And,
So
and yet this is the penultimate, or not the penultimate, the final. This is the final chapter in this saga. And we get like 3 new supers, one for a subclass from each of the main classes. Like, and that's it?
yeah, I
Like,
know. I feel like I don't know. Like maybe I don't know because I feel like if they were doing adding a new super for one subclass, why not do it for more subclasses?
well, you
But
see,
then
Quest, that would be over delivery, my friend.
oh, that's true. Because it's like you know, like when you think about it, a lot of the supers are very similar. Like think
Mm-hmm.
of Arc Titan. What like one is like you go around and you slam the ground. The other one is just you slam into something.
Mm-hmm.
You then have Void Hunter, who does have like one unique one that no one uses unless you're a PvP nerd. And then the other two are like very similar. One's just a big one. One's just like two smaller
Yep.
ones.
Yep.
Um, and then like Warlock's probably the only. Oh no, you've got two Nova Bombs. Never mind. I thought maybe Warlock's unique. It's not. Uh, like, and even for like, I guess it makes sense. But even for the Darkness subclasses, you don't get a choice.
Yeah.
Like, you have one super, and that is that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good luck with that one. Woo.
It's just, it blows me away. And it's, if you look specifically at the supers and the subclasses and the player kits that have developed since Witch Queen, it's very clear that content has been spread thin and shuffled around. Have you seen the discussions about how Strand was clearly supposed to be in Witch Queen?
Yeah, I can see. I don't know if I entirely agree, just because I don't see where it would have fit into the story.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, none of us know what was actually going on. Like we can all speculate and say, oh, this was clearly meant to be in this one. I could probably see Ghost of the Deep. I reckon Ghost of the Deep was probably supposed to be a Witch Queen thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then it wasn't. Because yes, it did link to Season of the Deep somewhat, but considering it was all Lucent Hive
Yeah.
and about, spoiler warning, resurrecting Oryx. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this feels a lot more Witch Queen to me than it does Season of the Deep.
Yeah.
Like that, but again, obviously, none of us can truly say whether what was meant to be with what.
Right.
But there is certainly there's definitely some stuff that was supposed to be put in different orders or with different things, and obviously Lightfall was like sort of like, oh, we need a thing to put all this other stuff that we don't have time for.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it with that stuff, and we'll think about it later.
Yep. Yep. But it makes me think, so if the running theory that Strand was supposed to be with Witch Queen was true, because the coloration and the idea of it being psychic energy that tethers everyone together, and how that's similar to Deep Sight and cutting the ties like we do with the ties on Savathun's memory and like the penultimate mission, yada yada yada. If those things are all actual signposts that Strand was originally supposed to be in Witch Queen, and then Lightfall actually continued to exist as the final chapter that it was supposed to be before they decided that Lightfall would exist and then Final Shape would exist, what does that mean for what would have been in Lightfall, right? If Lightfall was actually the final chapter that is now the Final Shape, would we have seen the same, just 3 new supers for some of the subclasses? Would we have seen the third Darkness subclass? That's what I have to think about. And then coming off of that, it makes you think, like, what has happened to these development pipelines? How much executive meddling has there been? And that's what then ties the whole conversation back around to Pete Parsons and the board and the shareholders and the ways that the Bungie devs have been shackled. Because like you mentioned earlier, they have been. We've had testimony from multiple developers now that they knew what was happening. They could see the writing on the wall. They wanted to do more. They wanted to go out of their way to make cool stuff because they play the game too. They want to play the cool stuff, and they were prevented from doing so. So, like, what does that mythical, non-existent timeline look like where we have a Lightfall that wasn't cut into 2 pieces and had everything it could have had, you know? Like, Bungie probably wouldn't be pushing it off for 4 months because it's reviewing good, not great. I'll tell you that much for certain.
Yeah. No, one of the things I like is like Witch Queen is obviously very held highly by a lot of players because it is one of the better and actually good expansions that Destiny's ever had. People like being put next to the Taken King expansion from D1 because it is up there. It's a really good expansion.
It's my favorite expansion
And
in the series,
yeah,
easily.
yeah, and what's interesting is that I'm pretty sure a good majority of it was developed during, if we go or remember it, lockdown and
Yeah,
COVID-19 and all
yeah.
that, and all of the developers basically had to, they had to work from home. Like I remember seeing some clips on Twitter of like the animators. Like I think one of the main animating leads, he basically did, the cutscene where they're all in Zavala's office.
Yeah,
You've got
yeah,
the
yeah.
worm there. Like that was done by him alone in his garage. Like he did the
Insane.
mocap words. He did the mocap work for every single one of the characters. He made sure they were
Oh,
like equally spaced. The fact that he did it in essentially his house for that entire like cutscene is wild. And
yeah.
that was all done at home during lockdown. We're all inside and couldn't go anywhere.
And this man just decides to pump out incredible content.
Exactly. Then they all go back to the office, and then we get Lightfall. It's like I think maybe if we thought about it a bit more at the time, hindsight's 2020, that like maybe management's not, it's clearly not doing well for the game as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think what we've seen from this is that like obviously it should be obvious, but management and the higher ups, the really like high people like the CEO and whatever, they care less about how good the game is and how well the players are experiencing it. They just like money and
Line
profits
go
and the
up.
nice line go up.
Yep.
Ooh, the stonks. We like
Monkey
look at
brain,
that
red
line.
line, let's go.
Ooh,
Up, up, up to the moon.
yeah. So like, which is where the like that quote comes from. Is like, oh yeah, don't over deliver. Is like it just shows that like they do not care about the game or how players are experiencing it. They just want them to make sure they make good enough content that people will consume it so they can still get money but then not lose money down the line by having people disappointed by not having the same level of content.
The
But as we
minimum
as we
viable product.
but as we said, like the devs, like who are clearly very excited about this game, wanted to like experiment more and do more crazy, wacky things with Destiny, and I think it would have been great to see if management were like, we got to think about future profits. You can't just do cool, wacky things in your silly sci-fi game. Nah, don't do that. So,
And
yeah.
now it's all blown up in their faces. It's led to the exact situation that everyone knew that it would, because everyone could see the writing on the wall and say, this isn't enough, it's not right, and it's not what Destiny is capable of. And they said, nope, it's fine. And now their entire studio is imploding.
Yeah, and also another thing as well. I don't know I haven't been following marathon news too closely. I was when they announced it, I was kind of interested in it. I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool. Maybe I'll check it when it comes out. But obviously now that's been pushed back to 2025,
Yep,
which
as
I think
part
it's
of
supposed
this
to be.
whole
It was,
pushback.
yeah. And apparently, according, I think was it
It
Astacross
was
who did
as the
like
cross,
this?
yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Apparently, according to him, he's spoken to what do you call it, extraction shooter streamers because apparently who were invited to Bungie to play and get like their general consensus on it, and asked if they would pick the game up tomorrow. None of them said yes. Like
Yep.
nobody
Yep.
had any interest. I think
Yep.
even in Dato's video today, because he released it not a couple of hours ago, we're basically talking about the same stuff we're talking
Right.
about. Apparently, he talked to someone that he knew who tried it, and all it equated to was like from this person. They just said, "Yeah, I tried it out." And that was it. That was their overall
It's a
general
game.
consensus. It literally, which is really not a good sign. Like they're try. I like the idea that Bungie are trying to push out and obviously bring back their original IP and
Yeah.
like bring it into the 21st century and making it cool and new and interesting to players. But the fact that like the whole target demographic that play these sorts of games had basically no interest in it is not a good sign.
Yeah.
And again, is that due to the dev team or due to management not letting them do certain things? It's like
It's a
because
very good question.
before, yeah, because before I feel like a lot of stuff we felt like, or maybe the dev team are like just maybe they can't do certain things or maybe they just don't want to because like for
Because it's
whatever reason.
hard
But
or
now, but
whatever.
yeah, but now like can they do these things? And it's just upper management telling them not to because it will be quote unquote over delivering.
And
It's just bring a whole new perspective to like previous situations,
oh
which
yeah.
is yeah.
Well, it's kind of the overarching story of Destiny, right? Like the
Mm,
original, that fabled original supercut of what Destiny was going to be before, supposedly, according to people who were in the know, Activision made them cut it into pieces. And we got D1 and then Dark Below, House of Wolves, and Taken King, which those 4 releases total comprise the entirety of what D1 was originally supposed to be. And that's where we saw characters like Crow, who became Aldrin and now became Crow, were from, and all that type of stuff. And no one's ever seen that supercut. But management of some form or fashion supposedly said, no, 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 this is too much. Break it up. Change it. Do
mm.
this the way that we want you to do it. And just from that point forward, we've seen that over and over and over again with Destiny. Whether it's been supposedly at the feet of Activision or now at the feet of Pete Parsons and the C-suite or whoever, it has just happened constantly. And it's like, yeah, man, where could this have gone? Where could this be going? And where can we see the stress lines in what already has come out that resulted from that type of interference? And it's all over the place.
Yeah. 'Cause it is crazy to think that like in terms of what sort of game Destiny is, that like over the past 10 years, nothing has really come close to like its um overall sort of like success.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because like it is a success story. It
Mm-hmm.
is because like there is obviously you have like other MMOs like WoW, like obviously that's hugely successful, but this is very different, I think. 'Cause it's
Yes.
obviously it's a first-person shooter, it's a looter shooter, mostly first person. Like it's combining a lot of different things, and other things have tried. I'm trying to think of something. Was it Anthem
Anthem, The
or whatever Anthem?
Division, a few other
Yeah,
things. Yeah.
like a lot of things have tried to like not copy but at least try and like replicate what
Mm-hmm.
Bungie have done with Destiny, and most of the time have like not have just not done it at all. I was even like what Diablo this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Like I was so funny like seeing so many people go like, "Oh, Destiny players will love this." It's all about building certain builds and like going out and fighting things. And then like after when season 1 came along for that game, it was like people were like, "Nah, this is awful. This is terrible."
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like what have they done? Like and it's not to say like you know, I think honestly, Bungie are quite lucky because in its early days, that's what Destiny was like.
Yeah.
Like Destiny came out, people played the story and was like, "Now what? What do we do?" Because there was no end game or
No.
post campaign
You
to
had
Destiny.
Vault of
Like
Glass, and that was it.
there was very bare bones. So I think like probably with a bit of luck, Destiny have somehow managed to survive those first few years of very bare bones content to what it is now. And the fact that like no other game has been able to do that or survive through those sorts of experiences just shows that like I think the dedication that the team at Bungie who've been
Mm-hmm.
working on this game for the past 10 years have put into it.
That's what's interesting, right? Because I've seen people talking today about how the people who make these decisions, the board, the C-suite, all those types of
Yeah.
people, are people that you have no idea. Like they've seen the
No.
list of names and you've never heard of any of these people, and yet they're the ones who can just decide to ruin so many lives and to ruin a product that so many people are so invested in, that so many content creators have built their lives around, that so many people view as one of their primary forms of entertainment, that they've built friendships and communities around. all gone because line no longer goes up. And you don't even know
Hmm.
who those people are to lay the blame at their feet. It's insane.
Yeah. Because obviously I probably could have looked it up, but before this week I didn't know what the CEO was called a Bungie.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, I had no idea it was Pete. I probably, yeah, as I said, I could have Googled it, but why would I have any need to? Why have
Right.
I got to consider who the CEO of Bungie is?
Yep.
Like, because I think, obviously, in players' minds, a lot of people see Joe Blackburn as, obviously, he's not management, he's game director, like, but
But you
everyone
hear
sees him
game
as,
director
like,
and you're like, oh, that's the big cheese right there.
yeah, yeah, that's the guy. He's the one running this ship,
He's
that's
talking to us.
him.
He's streaming the game, talking about stuff.
I
This is
know.
great. This game is going great. Look at this. Look at this communication we have.
I know exactly. That's another thing that made me like optimistic. Is like, especially when like Joe Blackburn did that like whole 20-minute video on his Twitter, being like,
Yeah, after the
"We
state of the
get
game.
it, we understand that it was a bit, not great," and then going through all the stuff that they were like actively doing, and it kind of felt more like a sort of like not like a twab or twid post. It was just him being like, "I'm being honest with you. We get it. Here's what we're planning to do," and that transparency and honesty resonated with a lot of players. They were like, okay, this is great. We love the communication. We understand what's going on now a bit better than we would normally, and and the fact he said wanted to live stream and communicate more often. Like, I know he did one live stream on the official Destiny 2 Twitch account.
Yes.
He was on Dato's stream recently doing
Yep.
that fun game, which I think is great to see that, like, what we obviously perceived as the big cheese at Bungie being active, like, within the community and saying this is
Yeah.
what we're doing or this is what we're trying to do was great. Like, that's very rare to see from any game devs ever. I can't even think of like any other examples that are close. I don't know if you can, because I don't haven't seen that from any other game company or people working on games have ever done that before.
The closest thing I can think of is recently, you mentioned Diablo 4 earlier. The Diablo 4 like lead devs, like again, the big cheeses, went on and they did like a fireside chat thing where they were talking about the state of the
Oh,
game,
right.
how bad like the first patch they did was, and how they weren't going to do that anymore. And that was very candid. It was very forward. You could see that they were stressed and unhappy, and that built a lot of player sentiment again. But it wasn't like, here's the guy playing the game and talking about it. It wasn't that level, but I
Yeah.
think it was, I would say it was probably fairly close. Some more similar to his
Yeah.
Twitter video, if anything.
Yeah, yeah, sounds like it, which is good.
It's just like you're saying, you don't get that level of communication and dedication and
No.
everything from the head of a project like this ever in game dev. And I think that is kind of like you were alluding to. That's the reason that D1 survived, right? And it shows the dedication and support and passion that these devs have for the project. That intent to make it good, both like prior to the launch, that created the world and the lore and the music and everything that drew people in so quickly, and then the post-launch support, getting it through its dark times, putting heads down and just grinding through everything that needed to be done to bring it up to the standard that it needed to be to continue to survive. That's what set Destiny apart from all of the other competitors, all of the Destiny killers, as they've been labeled, and has allowed it to survive up to this point. I think that is the sole reason. It is those people behind the scenes who have said, no, I love this thing. I'm not going to let it die. And those are the people that have been removed. So I have to ask, because this has been kind of the discussion on everyone's lips, right? How do you feel going forward into the final shape and the episodes going forward? Where do you think this is going from here? Because, like, I have my thoughts, but I'd like to hear your thoughts first, then I'll kind of give my take on
Yeah.
how it's going to go from here. How you feel about final shape and beyond?
Yeah, I don't know, because I honestly, at this point, I don't know if I could say too much, because like I want to be optimistic about the future, like I
Yeah, of
have been
course.
recently, but it because like maybe more so that it's been pushed back. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But the fact that so many people have like been now cut off from this project and can no longer work it does obviously give me a lot of doubts about it, especially with like they're changing from seasons to episodes, which
Mm-hmm.
I thought was like an interesting idea because it's like the seasonal model, they didn't get the response back from players like this is getting stale. So like that's great that they've recognized we don't think we can deliver it by February. We're pushing it back by a few months. Great, love that. Work on it a bit more. I couldn't care less. I'll play other games in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it. On the other hand, you have all these layoffs because big man at the top went, I don't like these numbers because they're not moving enough. And they've got rid of people who clearly loved working on the game. It's like, well, if you're pushing it back, why are you cutting off all these people from working on the project?
That's the thing, man.
Because surely if you're pushing it back, you want these people who love working on the game to continue doing so they can deliver the great product that you want to make the big funny number go upwards. Like, player confidence was already pretty low after like Lightfall.
Yeah.
And it's just gone, down even further after all this. So they need to like hit some absolute like bangers either with this season or the whatever content they're going to do over the next few months before the final shape to really get player confidence back. Because if you have pushed it back, you've got to deliver now. I don't care. You have to over deliver now. You've put this back for a reason.
Yep.
You've got to really impress me to get my confidence back. And I think that's the main point. Is like you've done all these things. You've pushed it back. You've laid off people. You better perform now. And this is not like a thing to like the devs being like, because it's not the devs' fault. It's management.
Correct.
Management is the ones that need to like deliver because it's their decisions. If they're the ones making all these calls, then they're the ones that need to be putting the work in to make sure their product works, can be sold, and then the funny numbers that they like looking at can go up.
Yep. I mean, that's just it. That's literally all there is to say about it, man. I'm largely in the same boat because, unlike yourself, I have not been playing the game. Like I said earlier, stopped during Season of Defiance. Have not played Deep. Have not played Witch. Was interested. Was contemplating. That's been lost. Speaking of player confidence, gone.
Yeah.
Next season, I could not care less. Final Shape. I was one of those people. I've said it to Jane, who is my girlfriend, my partner, who I live with. Everything. Pretty much everyone on this channel knows her at this point. She is always surprised when I say like, "Oh, I'm playing Destiny," or "I'm thinking about playing Destiny. I want to see what Final Shape is." She's like, "I thought you were done with that." Like, I am, because she used to play. I don't know if you knew this, but she used to be an avid Destiny fan as well.
Oh, I didn't actually know that. No.
Yeah. Largely in D1 mainly, we would commit heinous acts upon our opponents in the Iron Banner. Largely, we would both play Titans.
No.
We would both play Bubble Titan, and we would go on B. And we would just alternate bubbles with shotguns and hold B forever.
Oh my gosh!
Great.
See, I was the other type of annoying Titan. I was shoulder charge universal remote. That was my go-to in Crucible.
Hell yeah!
It was so funny because like even though like 9 times out of 10 you'd probably die as well, but the fact you could just keep killing the same people over and over again with the same tactics was just too funny.
It was great. I totally agree. But yeah, she stopped playing around Forsaken, I believe, largely because of her studies, kind of like yourself. She was going through a very intensive university program, and she just didn't have the time for it anymore. And so she saw it from an outside perspective for much longer, how the game was struggling and everything. And there's been a couple times where she's wanted to get back in, but she never really has. We've played a bunch of Gambit together. She and I both, I know, very rare opinion, but very much enjoy Gambit. Actually think it's very, very good. Just people didn't like it. That's fine, but moving on. She's never gotten back into it. And she's always been surprised whenever I've talked about like wanting to play more of it, wanting to get back into it. And she was particularly surprised that I wanted to play Final Shape. And it was the same idea. Like, I've been with this series, I've been with this game for longer than 10 years because I played the beta and got invested in it way back then. I want to see it through. Now, I don't know if I even care, man. Like, I don't care what the next season is, and given what we've seen about Final Shape thus far, which if anyone knows the channel and saw me live streaming the sort of live reveal of Final Shape that they did a little while ago, I was not kind to it at all. And like, given what's happening now, like, I don't care, man. I've got other stuff going on, and that's big for me to say. Like, my channel avatar, my profile picture is literally my Guardian.
Yep.
That is
Yeah,
my channel identity.
mine is exactly the same. Like what's annoying to me is that like obviously I would say relatively new to content creation. I've only been doing it for the past 2 years, yeah, since 2021, so since like last 2 years.
Hmm.
And I've had like many sort of like different profile pictures, designs for my streams, blah blah whatever. And like literally this time I was like, okay, I know I don't play it on like my channel or my streams, but like Destiny is one of the games that means a lot to me. I think I'll base my branding around that. So that's
Yep.
why I like, you know, if you go to my streams, like, you know, it's all Destiny themed. Like my Titan is there. It's usually like arc themed, like what the blue lightning sort of stuff.
Yep.
And I got this profile picture very nicely from one of my friends commissioned because he's a great artist. I was like, man, you do great profile pictures. Can you do this for me? And he was like, yeah, sure. And it's a brilliant drawing, and I love
Yeah.
having my profile picture. And after this week, it's like, oh, I've rebranded all my stuff around Destiny and my Titan, and now it's. Oh, it just doesn't. It just feels annoying because it's like, you know, I was like, oh, finally, I've got like something I like that I can like probably keep for like, you know, years as this, and now it's like 2 months in, I'm like, I made the wrong choice. I
Yeah.
should have gone with Professor Layton or something. Oh no.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. I mean, that's same thing for me. All of my channel branding was done by Lena, who you know.
Hmm.
And it was a gift for me for my birthday, and I adore it. And
Oh, nice.
for me, I have no intention of changing anything because it has ascended beyond being my Destiny character to being a
Mm,
representation of myself, right? And of my
yeah.
channel. And while people know that I play Destiny, and some people who pay really close attention know that it is my guardian from Destiny, for the most part, it's to people just me. I'm just that orange robotic guy, right? And
Hmm.
that's totally fine. And for you and I both, we're not Destiny content creators. That's not what we do. So imagine the people who are. Like, we love this game, but there's people whose careers are this game and they don't even work for Bungie. It's like, man, so much destruction wrought from people who have no real care for it. And yet it
Hmm.
hurts so many people going forward. And that's where my pessimism towards the game and the franchise comes from, right? Like we've mentioned
Hmm.
earlier, I fell off of playing long before you did because of various
Hmm.
different grievances that I have.
Yeah,
And
which are obviously totally fair, and I, you
yeah,
know, obviously agree with them.
yeah. And now this happens, and it's like, why do I play the final shape? Why do I care what happens
Mm.
at this point? Why do I care about the episodes? Why do I care about spin-offs? Why do I care about Marathon? Why do I care about, what is it, Jelly Bean or whatever is the other game that they're working on right now, or Gummy
I've
Bear or something
no,
like
no,
that?
I no idea. I know it's something else, but I've got no idea what it's called. No.
And there's like animated series that are rumored to be in the works and all this different
Mm.
stuff, and it's like, when all of this is coming at the expense of the people who've made it possible for the last
Yeah.
decade, why do I care? And I feel like
Yeah.
that is the ultimate summation of where everyone's at.
Yeah. It's exactly that. It's like, why should I continue to care and play this game when real people's lives are being affected by you know this stuff? It's like why should I continue to, even though it's like, you know, as we said, it's like not our jobs, but why should I continue to support this stuff when the company behind it actively harming people's lives by basically showing them that that job is not secure in the slightest.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like when you've got people like Salvatore, who, as you mentioned at the beginning of this whole block, is potentially one of the most storied people at the
Hmm.
company. And even he's not safe, despite his overall contributions to Halo and Destiny, and I would argue video game OSTs as a
Oh,
whole, easily.
definitely.
And he's not safe. It's like, okay, well, what does that say for me, random dude on the internet? Like, or, you know, not to disparage anyone, but as a 1,000+ member company or employee company, like random intern or whoever who just started there because they want to get into game
Hmm.
dev and Bungie is their favorite developer, and then this happens. Even if they didn't get canned now, what are they supposed to do going forward? How are they supposed to have any confidence in anything?
Yeah.
Well, the last thing that I kind of wanted to go over, and we touched on it a little bit earlier, was the overall state of the monetization of the game, but
Mm,
framed specifically through that 45% revenue miss, right? And this is something
yeah.
I've seen like Paul Tassi, Dotto, a few other people talk about, where it's like, man, knowing that that's what they've been worried about gives so much context to event passes, the increase in price
Mm,
to season passes, the doubling down on Eververse, the increase of prices of everything in the Eververse, shaders being locked behind paywalls, all this different stuff. Like,
hmm.
it just really shines a light on the whole thing, doesn't it?
Yeah. It is clearly like obviously a bit of speculation, but I reckon management have clearly given like a figure like we want to earn this like at least we're projecting to earn this much money by the end of the financial year, whatever. And clearly the people who obviously maybe work on like Eververse or microtransactions or whatever have gone, because they're the money makers. Let's be honest. Like, yes, an expansion comes out in this seasons, they obviously draw in money, but during seasons and throughout the years, what do you spend the most money on? Cosmetics. Like that's most video games these days. I always know the common one is Fortnite because that's free to play and you buy the skins and that. It's the same with Destiny. Like, yes, you pay for content, but then also you want to create all the cool armor and shaders and funny emotes you can do, and that's like what brings in the money. And as you said there, like it makes sense why a lot of that has been hiked up in price, or like a lot more things have been put behind paywalls in terms of cosmetic things. And I reckon that what's not happened is because like the higher ups at Bungie, who are incredibly out of touch of reality, have clearly thought of this figure just of just general, where the game was going sort of thing. They've just gone on like internal research statistics, whatever. I haven't taken into account if it was actually going on in the real world, like going through a cost of living crisis, is what we're calling it. And, people you've got to prioritize what they spend their money on, and maybe spending a bit more on shopping a week is more important than buying funny, silly emote in video game. I think that like contributes a lot of it.
Yeah.
Is that like this past year, like just in terms of just life in general, things are expensive.
Yeah, they are.
Like just in terms of like bills, food, rent, whatever, it's
Hmm.
all gone up across like the entire world, and clearly like that means people are going to be spending less on more of the fun stuff, unfortunately, which includes cosmetics in a video game.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably what's happened at Bungie. The higher ups have gone, oh, clearly we're going to earn this much this year, not taking into account that people probably aren't going to spend much more this year on fun things because of everything going on in the world. And the fact that that's led to more job losses is just probably more of a commentary on how society is at the moment, but that's an entirely different conversation. I don't want to go whole Joker mode on it's society. Society's the problem. But what you don't understand, it's society.
That was a very good impression, actually. But no, you're absolutely right. Like, that is exactly the point. Like, you've got all of this focus on how to just wring as much revenue from this one entertainment product as possible. When you got people like myself that are like, cool, I can spend well, it used to be $10, now it's $12, really $15 because of silver pricing, but we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
To get a new season, or I can spend the same amount of money to get a pack of chicken to make dinner tonight. Like, bro, the decision is clear here. And when
Yeah.
you just have like problem like after problem like that, like, oh, an armor set in the Eververse costs $20. I can buy like a dinner and 2 lunches for that, bro. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
There's no consistency. There's no consideration. It's like, and then it ties back into the whole, like, why do I continue to support all this? Why do I care what happens going forward when this is the reality that people are living in? And you just can't. Unless you have incredible amounts of expendable income, which, more power to you, man. If you have the money and you want to spend it, go for it. Do what you want with your cash, bro.
Yeah.
But for most people, that's not the case. And it leads to stuff like this. And like you said, then you got people who are in that situation losing their jobs as a result. Like, I know I said this is the last topic that I wanted to talk about. Well, one other thing that I did think of was like the current gaming landscape, right? We talked about how there's so much going on in the terms of the real world, and we mentioned earlier there's so much going on in terms of the gaming landscape as well. I want to take your temperature on this just to see what you think, because I have my thoughts on it. But if this was not 2023, and 2023 being billed as one of the greatest years in gaming in general, with so many bangers coming out, do you think if Baldur's Gate, Armored Core, Tears of the Kingdom, Alan Wake 2, etc., 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 Remnant 2, which is another one that is competing with a lot of what Destiny does without being a live service, which I think helped it a lot. But if all those things hadn't come out this year, do you think Destiny and Bungie would be in the state that they're in right now?
Oh, that's a good question. Because like I know, like every year people seem like, oh, this is such a good year for games, but like I think this is like exceptionally a good year for games. As you mentioned, there has like been a lot of banger games this year, and even like the remakes as well. Like we had Dead Space, RE4, Metroid Prime, like.
Yeah.
Those are three were already good games, and they've been remastered, and they're still brilliant. So I just another one to the mix. So like not even like the brand new games, the remasters of old games have come out this year have been good and well received. So I just feel like because it's been such an amazing year in terms of just like game quality in general, especially compared to previous years and how well certain stuff has gone. Bayonetta 3, and how obviously it's the hypothetical and situation, but I think at least from what I've seen on Twitter, a lot of people have said they've been spending time away from Destiny, probably like yourself, and been playing other games because like there's just been so much on offer this year, and especially when you've been essentially playing the same gameplay loop for the past longer years. I would say two because obviously it's how long I've been, but obviously you've been much longer. If you've been playing the same loop for the past that many years, then you're gonna want to play something else, something wildly different, and a good game. Like you don't just play some random old rubbish because you're just going to come back to what you know. If you play a game and it's amazing, you're going to spend more time on that game, if it's better than one you're already playing. So it's definitely been a factor that because games are so good this year, a lot of people who probably would be playing Destiny have gone to other things to check them out and play those instead.
Yeah.
I reckon if we didn't have I guess like if Lightfall was like the final thing, and we didn't have like another few months to go, and Lightfall was like the end this year, I feel like it might have been okay. Or say like maybe like if Destiny was like shunted back by like a couple of years and released, and the final thing was like released like last year or the year before, it probably would have been better received, probably because also weren't living through a cost of living crisis as well. That's another thing that we just talked about. Like there's other good games that people have probably spent their money on rather than silly cosmetics and this other game.
Why would I spend $20 3 times between season passes and cosmetics when I could spend that total $60 on Baldur's Gate 3?
Exactly. Yeah. Because it's like the amount. I wish I could have that game. As you know, I've not got a proper gaming PC. I've got my laptop that I play on. Right. So like, I probably would be playing those other games if I had like a proper PC because I want to play Baldur's Gate 3 for probably more reasons than one, and people who know me probably know why. But like because I'm not gonna say about it because even like me, like as well, like personally, yes, I've been playing obviously the last 2 seasons, but like I've been playing other games as well. Like obviously I mentioned, I'm a Metroid fan. I've been playing Metroid Prime. I've got in fact recently it's been nice because a lot of stuff been sale on the Switch. I've bought a lot of other games. Like I've got Blasphemous. I've got Spiritfarer. I've got Little Nightmares 2 that I want to play. And a few others that I purchased recently, and it's like what did that cost me? Because they're all on sale. It cost me like less than I think 15 quid to get like all of those games in total.
That's insane.
I know, and that's how much I would spend on a season pass. It's like
that you don't even guaranteed get everything. Like that you have to grind so much of your time away to get everything.
Exactly.
That goes away if you don't get it. You could buy Little Nightmares 2 plus all that other stuff now and not play it for 5 years, and you'll still have it available for the same price that it was. It's just, there's so much going against Destiny right now. The live service model, the cost of living crisis, so many other games coming out. Entropy from it just being counting Destiny 1, 10-year-old game with the same overall design and gameplay loop and all that type of stuff. It has an ancient engine. It's tied still in so many ways to last-gen consoles, even if we've now left them behind. It has so much entropy dragging it down, much like The Witness itself is trying to bring entropy to the fore as the dominating force in the universe.
It's funny you mentioned The Witness, because I did see quite a funny comment on Twitter being like, this is technically kind of what The Witness wants.
Yeah, The Witness is winning right now.
The Witness wants to end the universe, and currently it very much looks like the Destiny universe might cease to exist.
Yep, yep.
Witness is winning.
So you have all of that going against it. And then, just to bring the whole thing full circle, because we've been going for almost an hour and a half at this point, which has been a wonderful discussion, by the way. This has been great.
It's been lovely being here.
To bring it all full circle, you have so much going against Bungie and Destiny right now. And like you've mentioned a few times, now seems like it's the time when you need all hands on deck, all of the experience and wisdom and know-how that you can muster to bring the thing home as one of the only examples of a project like this to actually find success and maintain momentum through all of these years. And now is the time when you cut nearly 10% of the company and some of the most storied names in that company. And none of it makes sense to me. And I think that's the general sentiment among the community as well. So, like,
yeah,
just where is this going, man?
It's very much, to make it basic. Cool, we get it. Why we get that you're pushing it back. Why have you got the people working on it? That's just the sentiment right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. You want to delay it. Why get rid of the people working on it then?
If you have to delay it, you need the people, bro.
I know.
But don't worry, they kept the right people though. They kept.
They definitely kept the right people. It didn't need Salvatore at all. Not his amazing, brilliant music. Nah, don't need him.
No, it's okay. He recorded all the music that he needed to for Final Shape. We don't need that for the episodes. That's fine.
Yeah.
So
it's almost reminiscent of what they kind of did to Mick Gordon, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That only just occurred to me now, but that's kind of what they did to Mick Gordon.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, I did not think about that, but that is there's definitely some parallels there. Actually, you could do a case study on that. Huh. That's very interesting.
I'm probably not smart enough for that, but someone else can do that. There's more time and effort and energy than I do.
Our academics out there. That could have been me at one point, but then I started doing YouTube, and that all went out the window.
Yo.
Yeah,
I could have been so cool, but then I became a YouTuber.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much else there is to say at this point. I've been checking my feeds. I haven't seen anything about the TWAB or the TWID or anything like that.
Oh, wait, hang on. Whoa, hang on.
Wait.
5 minutes ago, that's YouTube. The TWID will return next week with new updates for Crucible Strike Team. Today we have an update community from the Destiny 2. Oh, hang on.
Oh, wait, all right, hold on.
Whoa, hang on a sec.
Okay. Our path forward. I see this.
This has been one of the most difficult weeks in our studio's history, as we've parted ways with people we respect and admire. We've spent this week supporting one another, including those who are at the studio, as well as friends and colleagues who no longer are. We want to acknowledge the feedback and concerns you have about Lightfall and recent seasons, as well as your responses to the reveal of Final Shape. We know we have lost a lot of your trust. Destiny needs surprise and delight. We haven't done this enough, and that's going to change. To us, the path forward is clear. We need to make the Final Shape an unforgettable Destiny experience. We want to build something that will be regarded alongside the best games we've ever made. A fitting culmination that honours the journey we've been on together for the past 10 years. Forsaken, the Witch Queen, the Taken King. These are the standard bearers we aim to live up to. We are intensely focused on exceeding your expectations for the final shape. Destiny 2 has more than 650 dedicated teammates pouring all their energy and expertise in delivering this epic moment and its subsequent episodes. In the week ahead, you'll be hearing more from us about what's next on the short-term horizon, beginning with our next season in late November. Afterwards, we'll begin to unpack our team's bigger, bolder, and brighter vision for the final shape, as well as the bridge we plan to build to take us all out on this darkness and into the light. See you, Starside, the Destiny 2 dev team.
Interesting.
Have they been listening to our conversation? Because they've almost addressed every single thing we were talking about.
I was saying, I'm not streaming right now, am I?
We're not. I'd actually hit the live button on my OBS.
Yeah. All right. Very, very interesting. I mean, it's very clearly PR window dressing, right? Like,
oh, absolutely. Like, they've definitely just written something that they want players to hear.
yes.
Like, I'm not saying it's disingenuous.
No.
This is definitely what the devs actually working on the game. This is what they want to do. They do want to deliver a phenomenal, what do they describe it, unforgettable Destiny experience, as the likes of Witch Queen, Taken King, Forsaken. Like, that's very much what they want to do. But obviously, yes, this bit of text is very much like, yeah, this is PR.
They knew they needed to say something. They knew everyone was waiting with bated breath for them to say something. And if they didn't say anything with the way the internet works, it would have gotten so much worse for them. So, very, very interesting, though. Very interesting. The very first thing that caught my mind is specifically the lineup that they have there, Forsaken, the Witch Queen, and the Taken King. I feel like that implies a certain level of internal reverence for those expansions and an order to that reverence. With Forsaken at the bottom, which is actually interesting, if that is true.
Yeah, they're definitely, like, aware that those are their best ones.
Oh, of course.
Didn't come to bar. They're like they're very much like making it clear, like,
no one's gonna bring up Shadowkeep here, all right?
No, yeah, they're very much aware. Like, we know you guys, like, we think they're the best ones. You know they're the best ones. We want to do, the same level of this again. Obviously, of course they want to do that. They want to make the final shape as best as it possibly can be. Honestly, I didn't realize it's only 650. That's wild. I thought it'd be bigger, like, in terms of people actually working on it.
Well,
I guess
if 100
that's
people were just removed from the team.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably the number obviously after people have been laid off, but like, that's still. Maybe I'm just making numbers up, because obviously I'll be honest, I don't know anything about game dev, but that seems like a low number to me in terms of what size project this is.
Well, it's interesting because we know that prior to the layoffs, Bungie had approximately 1,000 employees. And I don't think that includes the C-suite, because they're not employees, they're the owners, technically.
And also, some of the layoffs weren't devs, they were like, legal team, communications, PR.
Right,
there was some of those probably wouldn't be included in that total.
Employees, but not devs, right.
Yeah.
So what's interesting there is it shows that supposedly the majority of Bungie has still been working on Destiny. We've talked a lot about how Destiny has suffered because of them pulling resources and team members away from it to work on Marathon, things like that. But the implication here, and I think part of the reason they put that very specific number in there, is to say, listen, the majority of our team is still working on Destiny. We're working on other things, including Marathon, which is a big focus for them. But our focus, our majority, is still here. Please don't lose faith in us. Because that's been the running idea for so long, right? Oh, it's a skeleton crew running Destiny. Oh, everything's been moved to Marathon. It's the bare minimum that they're putting into Destiny. And they seem to want to kind of undercut that idea here. So that's a very interesting statistic for sure. Very interesting. And notably as well, like, there's only been a couple of names and a couple of people that I've seen on social media talking about how they've been laid off who are specifically from the Marathon team. The vast majority of people seemed to be from Destiny. We saw, I think today it came out, one of the lead marketing people for Marathon was cut, which is interesting because, like, you would think you would, of all people, want your marketing team to be really strong for your yet to be released game, but the vast majority from what we've seen have been the people from Destiny. So
Yeah.
it's good to know that there's still a lot of people on it. They really want us to think, oh, we
Yeah.
still have the force we need to make Final Shape land, but still, man, I don't know.
Yeah. I think this is probably the best way they could have gone about this. I don't think
True.
there's any other way they probably could have addressed this. It's definitely like, we get, we know what's happened. We're trying to work through it. We're going to release plans next week. Yeah, that's all fine. Like, there's probably no other good way that they could have done, like, address this situation. I'm glad, in fact, with that, I'm kind of glad they didn't do, like, a twid or a twab or whatever. Glad they've done this instead and, like, postponed next week's,
Yeah.
to next week. I think that's fine. So I think from this point onwards, it's literally going to be like week by week. Like, what are
Yeah.
they saying? What are they telling us? Like, how are they doing things in preparation for the final shape? And, well, I guess more recently next season, like what are they doing for that sort of stuff. So it's going to be like very much like paying close attention. What are they doing? As I say, like they're going to be releasing stuff. So hopefully it's going to be stuff that's good and insightful that gets people excited again. Because I think that's just ultimately what they want. They want people
Yeah.
to regain their trust, which is obviously understandable after what's happened this week. So I'm just hopeful that they are able to do that and deliver on those what do you call it, bits of news that they're going to be releasing.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Short of like marching Pete Parsons himself out in front of the camera and having him bow to the audience and be like, I am so sorry, I take full responsibility for things that have happened here, other than Sony's involvement, which we didn't even talk about, but I don't think we really need to at this point. Like,
No, because I think a lot. I think there was a lot that was disproven because obviously everyone like at the start of the week when there was not much information was like, oh, it's a Sony thing. It's got to be a Sony thing because like I think there's been like other layoffs at Sony recently, so it was like, oh, this is a part of it. Like clearly they want to lay off because especially when it was like legal team, what was it, PR, marketing. Like everyone just thought, oh, they clearly just want to get rid of those ones so that they can use Sony's like employees for that sort of stuff. So everyone
right,
was like, "Oh,
right.
it's a Sony thing," and then it came out as like, "No, this is very much from Bungie's management." It's like, "Oh, this is not a Sony thing. This is actually an internal Bungie issue."
Yep, yep. Yeah, so short of like marching Pete out there and having him be like, oh, I'm so sorry, we're so sorry, this has been terrible, like legitimately, not just through a Twitter post, this is definitely one of the best ways they could go about it. And now it's
Yeah.
going to be all hands on deck for Bungie and all eyes on them to see what they're doing from everybody else week by week, like you're saying, seeing what the Twid and the Twab say, seeing what the reveals for the next season are, and seeing if they can actually do it. Because if the pressure wasn't on before to make sure that the delay is worth it and gets them the time that they need to make this product land, it sure is on now.
Oh,
For sure.
absolutely.
Like, we've had a lot of down points in Destiny where it's like, well, this is make or break for Destiny and Bungie. If they don't make this happen, it's the end. But like, never before has it been this
No.
dire by any
That
stretch.
yeah. I feel like whenever like people like say, "Oh, this is make or break for Destiny," it's like the next season's releasing. Like whenever I hear people say that, it's always been like the most like kind of like it's never been anything big. It's like it's always like people like I think trying to like just get engagement on Twitter, be like, "Oh, this next season is make or break for Bungie." It's
Yeah,
not. It's
exactly.
another season. Like, calm down. But like this, for actually for real this time, this is make or break. Like like not even like ironically, this is what will determine how Destiny finishes this arc.
Yeah.
This is the point now where we're like
There's no more
if
BS. All the chips are on the
exactly
table.
it's like it's fragile actually like because if anything goes wrong it's gonna blow up in their faces because it's like they're gonna be walking on eggshells the next few months before the release of the final shape because it is that crucial now that they deliver, which is you know a bit unfair because this is pressure brought in on again by the management team.
Yep.
Like this is again a situation that sucks. It sucks so much, but it was all because of management's fault. Like it is all on them, which is again why I include when I say like it, they they got to be careful and make sure this delivers. That's more so on like the management team.
Oh yeah.
Because if they're the one making these decisions, they've also got to follow through on their promises.
Yep.
Because they're the ones who would have guessed it, managing this. Like it is up to them to get this sorted.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And while it is in a way potentially a boon to players, because we've always had our best expansions when Destiny has been in its most dire straits, things like Taken King, Forsaken, and the Witch Queen, notably the three things that they called out in this little article, are three best expansions and have always come at the times where Destiny is at its relative lowest points. Looks like it's going to be the same thing for Final Shape, but whereas before it was just like, oh, the game is struggling, people's actual livelihoods have been destroyed over this. So while it is good for us, it is clearly a very bad time at Bungie. And I can only hope that the devs who are still there are not only allowed to put their all into this, to give 110% that they want to give, to make the best creative product that they can, but that no one else is punished for the mismanagement that has occurred here, that we have so obviously seen. That's all I can hope for.
I think as well, another thing to hope for is that the obviously the unfortunate circumstance of the layoffs, the people who have been laid off, that they are able to find work elsewhere, because they're clearly I mean, if you've got the likes of Salvatore being laid off, like there's clearly like it doesn't matter what your skill or talent level is. The probably the most talented, well-educated, wise people in Destiny, or in Bungie rather, have been laid off. I really hope that they are able to move, as hard as it is, to other projects, to use their creative outlet elsewhere, because they're clearly amazing people who love what they do, and I just hope that they are able to find work that is still fulfilling for them in a way that's meaningful to what they do.
I completely agree. I honestly could not phrase it any more appropriately. That's every single one of these people, which, credit to Pete, these are incredibly talented people. Please, if you have any openings available, consider them. Absolutely. These are people that will benefit the games industry as a whole, and I can only hope that they are able to do so in a way that allows them to live their lives appropriately and be able to just exist while putting their creative talent forward for all of us to enjoy. So, with any luck, that will be the case. But that said, I think we're pretty much done here. Now that we got that surprise drop, that was a good way to cap things off.
It's good job we were talking for so long.
Yeah, exactly. Quest, thank you so much for joining me. I very much enjoyed not only our conversation, but the different kind of thoughts and perspectives that you brought to all of it, because I know I've been more doom and gloom on Destiny the last 9 months or so. It's been good to have someone who's a little bit more optimistic on board as well, both for myself and for the discussion.
Yeah, no, it's been absolutely, a pleasure to be here. Hopefully we won't have to wait for a down for another company before we do something like this again.
I can only hope. I hope the next time we're here together, it's to sing the praises of Final Shape, and that we are nothing but optimistic about the future.
It'll be like late June. We'll be like, oh, wasn't the Final Shape so amazing? God,
what an incredible banger! Oh my, I can't believe that Zavala thunder crashed through the Witness's ship and blew it all up while
No, I need to do that. I need to thunder crash into the Witness. That's my job. That's my entire personality. I remember someone put on Twitter, like, there's a really cool piece of art. It's like there's always that one Titan. It's like someone like doing like a thunder crash towards Oryx.
Yeah,
and I showed it to my friend. I generally to my friends. They were like, "Question, you can't do that." I'm like, "I'm gonna do it." And we went in for a Kingsfall raid, and literally right at the end, I ran up and did it, and it works. You just fly into his heart, and it's so funny.
Excellent. That's so good. That is excellent.
If I'm able to, I might send you the clip because it is quite funny.
Yeah, by all means. And if you can, I will add it into the video for sure so that people can see it happening live. Well, not live, but you know what I mean. But yeah, seriously, thank you so much for joining me. And guys, again, I mentioned it at the top of the video. Check out Quest's stuff in the description. You'll find all his links there. Very, very good guy. Funny guy. Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm almost as funny as I was today. So if you like funny British man play video games, Oh God, I've got a channel for you. God, golly.
With the incredible combination of Destiny, Professor Layton, and Metroid. What a
God.
strange
What
gamut of
what
things.
more could you ask for?
But no, seriously, thank you for joining me, sir. And if you guys who've been viewing have enjoyed this and you would like to see more conversations like this with Quest in the future, by all means, let us know and we can collaborate on some stuff going forward as whatever the story with Destiny is going to be continues to develop. We will see. Yeah, that said, guys, I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now, guys.
Yeah, bye-bye.